The Carolina Hurricanes won the Metropolitan Division. Now they face a challenging Stanley Cup Playoffs. Jared Ellis of Locked On Hurricanes is here to talk about his team's prospects for the upcoming Stanley Cup. All right, everybody. Gil Martin here. The Locked On Road to the Stanley Cup continues as we welcome Jared Ellis from Locked On Hurricanes to take stock of the Hurricanes' chances to make a deep postseason run. And Jared, lots of things going on here with this team, but what is the biggest storyline for the Carolina Hurricanes as we get set for the Stanley Cup playoffs?
So, Gil, I feel like there's two things you could really talk about here, but for me, the more important one is the power play. That has been something that really, as a whole, all season long has been their biggest Achilles heel. Like, it has just been unusually bad for a team that is supposed to be contending for a Stanley Cup, because there's been stretches throughout the season where it's really improved and looked really well. When Shane Gostisbehere came in at the trade deadline, being the biggest there, but just as a whole, it has been a non-factor to the point where people joke like, "Oh, Hurricanes power play, time to go to take a bathroom break." It's just hasn't been good, and even if it's not scoring goals, it's still not even looking like a threat. It's a bathroom break kind of thing. And that's going to have to really be something that they work on in the playoffs, because if it stays where it has been, you look at some of their previous playoff runs like last year, the year before, where just the offense as a whole, power play included, just has been a non-factor. They can't buy a goal to save their lives. It's going to be another early round exit again.
What is wrong with the power play? What are they not doing that is causing the difficulty?
So it's been something I've been asking all season long, because you feel like you pinpoint it down, then it's something else. I feel like it's a few things. I feel like one, it's the mental aspect of, you've gone a whole season now and it's been bad. That's in the back of your head. And then also, I feel like sometimes they try to do a bit too much. They throw in an extra pass where they shouldn't. And then, where they say Martin Necas, he could have had a really good shot opportunity there. He passes it to Brent Burns, and then he passes it, and so on and so forth. And I feel like they do a bit too much, and they just need to keep it simple, apply pressure, and then create those lanes for some shots. And whenever you have those lanes open, you take the shot. You don't pass it off.
Yeah, always trying to make it perfect. I understand that issue. What is the biggest reason why your team will win the Stanley Cup?
So kind of ties into the power play right here. When everything has been clicking, this is one of the most dangerous teams in the league. Again, you look at that stretch when Shane Gostisbehere came in and everything was clicking, even before then and after then. But that's just the one that sticks out in my mind the most, of just how dominant they were over those teams at that stretch. When they are firing on all cylinders, they are so dangerous. They can beat anyone on any given night, because they have when the offense is going, it's going. We all know how good the penalty kill and defense is. It's one of the best in the league. Then when the power play is going, you look at the guys that you have on these units. They're, again, just one that can compete with anyone on any given night. And then same with the goaltending as well. When Freddie's on, when Ronta's on, when Kochetkov is on, they're all absolute stellar goalies.
So what would be the biggest reason that the Hurricanes will not win the Stanley Cup?
Same as the past few seasons, Gil. When they can't buy a goal to save their lives, you're not going to win a game. You, at the end of the day, you're not going to win a game if you can't score a goal. You look at last year against the Rangers and the Bruins. That was brutal stretch there. And then also, I didn't have it down in my notes, but they got to win on the road this postseason.
Yeah, always important. Although you will have home ice advantage at least for the first two rounds. Who is the one player that we need to pay most attention to right now on the Hurricanes?
There's a few in my mind, but the one main one being Martin Necas. He has had an incredible bounce back season. He had a pretty disappointing one last year, and he was kind of on a 2-year bridge, prove it deal this year, and he came back with a career year, leading the team in points right now. 71 was what he wrapped the regular season with. Being an absolute monster this year for the Hurricanes. And then, of course, you do look at other guys like Brent Burns. He was just named NHL Second Star of the Week, so he's on a roll. He's hot right now. So you're going to want to see that continue into the playoffs. And then, of course, your big name guys like Sebastian Aho, Jordan Stahl, those guys, obviously you're going to want those guys to have a good series. And then also for me, goaltending's got to be on point. We didn't have Freddie Anderson in the playoffs last year. He was out with, I believe it was torn ACL or MCL, one of those CLs. But I really want to see him have a really good postseason as well.
So what would a successful playoff run look like for Carolina, and what's at stake if they fall short?
So I feel for the Hurricanes for this playoffs, just playoff in general, it's going to have to be conference finals. You got to at least get there. Because you look at the past few, last year, year before, in the bubble, all those, it was early exits, and after really good regular seasons where you're thinking, okay, this is a team that can really contend, last year especially. And again, playoffs last year, you didn't win a single game on the road. You couldn't buy a goal to save your life. You're really going to have to get over that hump, get to the conference finals. Last year I was kind of liking it to the early 2010s, mid 2010s Tampa Bay Lightning and Washington Capitals, where they just felt like they kept falling short, and they couldn't get over that hump. Steven Stamkos compared those Lightning teams to the Hurricanes on our color commentator Trip Tracy's on his podcast, compared him to them. So I think they really got to get to the conference finals for it to be considered a success. And then obviously if you can get past Boston, let's be honest, they're going to be there. If you get past them, get to the Stanley Cup final, then it's just going to be even better. But I think they got to at least get to the conference final this year. And if, they do fall short in the first round or the second round, I think you're going to be at risk of a key piece getting moved. A piece that, a lot of folks, kind of thought was untouchable or something like that. I think they're really going to have to do something and make a big move. Max Pacioretty, he was supposed to be that, but, he was hurt. He only played like 3 or 4 games for the Hurricanes. And of course, Andrei Svechnikov, being hurt as well. Those are 2 really big holes. But I do think if you have another disappointing playoff round, someone's getting moved.
All right. Well, Jared,
Or
thank
not
you so
re-signed.
Sorry. Okay. Thanks, Jared. And
Mhm.
that does it for our Hurricanes preview here on the Locked On Road to the Stanley Cup. Be sure to subscribe to or follow Locked On Carolina Hurricanes for free on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. The Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.